Well, well, I come on here just to say that there's a little work I will do here, and finally coming down to the point where we got most of everything done, but we're finally going to start to demonstrate a little ways how we stuff the elephant. I'd like to mention that on my Facebook page I have shared a post where some lady has, the one who owns the gallery in Frankfurt I was talking about, she has finally posted the picture of my display area from the pages, from the business's Facebook page. And I also got a text this evening. The text was probably sent earlier, but I just checked my phone this evening and got it and discovered that I got my first sale today. Wonderful. What I said to her, just so excited to hear. Hope things are going to continue to go so well there. I'm always kind of trying everything out my best, trying to see how far I can just kind of get it to go. I say that a little wonderful work shall make its way in us and through us, and I'm always excited to hear that something sold, that something went well, and it's kind of how I like to say it. Do want to mention that we start out by stuffing the trunk. The trunk is probably the highest place up here, so that's where we're going to start out here. Stuff the trunk in there, put a little extra polyester into the place where the trunk meets up, and so I say a little work shall make its way in. See all the little brighter lights of days, I say. Oh, I tell y'all, working coming this way, it's like a lot to say here. We got a ways to go with kind of putting it in a little more of the ways, kind of make it so we go to the trunk and then we go to the top of the head. And now we've kind of gotten where we need it to be stuffed, and once we get that much done, there's a place where we finally put the thread through here to make the little place in here where the eyes are. And as you see, we're going to kind of put the stitch right through, kind of make it so it's going to come to the center, and that is where we got the little place where we have made the eyes now. And now we've finally got to the point where, as we've gotten to the top of the head and to the trunk, we now got to stuff a little bit more into it and kind of put it so it's going to come a little ways, make it so we kind of get it here in the place where we can stuff it all closed and make it so it's going to be nice and neat for the way the elephant shall be coming down to it. And now we're going to kind of put a little stuffing here in the head. And now we finally got the head stuffed up the way it ought to be. Might kind of put in a little bit more for the trunk and underneath the place where it goes. And so we finally got this much work put in. We're finally going to place a little extra stuffing down into the place where we got the two back legs. So we kind of got to stuff the legs just as they are, just as they need to be, just as they ought to be. And so we're going to add in that little touch of work right there, kind of show how this is going to be so graciously done when it all comes down to an amazing little work of art, I say. And then kind of place where we want it all to go, and then it's going to be just something for us to see how it's going to work for the best of us and in us. You know, as of now, these little places we stuff in here, they're going to find ways to go. And so sometimes in this place where we leave this little hole between the front and back leg on each side, that is the place where the stuff hole is. And I forgot to mention that when I was sewing it in the video, but that is an important thing to notice and to realize and to learn. So we have to kind of go a little ways over that, make sure it's going to be fashionable and stylish. I say, I always love it when things like this get sold and when people actually buy it, because it just means a lot to share the word and share the meaning. I say it was a good thing that at my last show I finally marked all the animals down, because I've got some new ones this year that are going to have a new name on them. And I tell you, those last two, that little monkey and that little ape that didn't sell at my last show, ended up being a little gift for my niece for Christmas. So that's how that comes along. We got a little ways to work about this, and there's just a little bit extra enjoyment to come out of the work we do. I say this is going to be superific and a wonderful work we do. Make it so we brighten lives, brighten souls, brighten our days, I say. Oh, 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 little grace that grows in us, make us all see brighter, lighter days come into our gracious, precious lives. And so we finally got this much done. There's probably little areas here where we're going to try to sew along little edges here. There's a place right here where we kind of got a little bit of leg space going up to the belly, and a place to kind of put in a little piece of needle and thread and sew up along that line there, just to kind of make it a little thinner here, make the stuff hole a little thinner so that everything is matching up so graciously and givenly. And a little time and work in this, it's going to show that there's a lot of good grace in what we do. I say, oh, this life shall brighten our days and our ways. I say, oh, little work shall kind of come up and see a little ways we come on a little graciously to things. And so I say, we kind of got the little needle to go through, make it so the elephant is going to stay in its good little place. We had a little loop come through here, so we're going to have to tie a knot around that loop where the thread kind of got a little attached to the leg there, kind of came a little too close, so we're going to take that little loop, make it so it's going to be in the right place, and shouldn't be using wire cutters to cut this thread, but turns out, well, actually I do have a pair of scissors nearby. I'll take that and snip away at this little place, kind of cut a little line there. There's a place on here where we must come up to the very leg as well, and in a place here where we kind of didn't sew all the way to the end, we're going to make a starting point a little further in, just to try to get it so it's going to be in the place where it's exactly where it needs to be, and try to kind of sew that line along, make it so it's going to be the work in our lives for which we see what we do, what we can and will do. I say, oh, the work shall come its way. We know that, oh, little works are coming, and we're making another little hole here, so it's going to be more to the center, easy to stuff along, make it so that the little lines are going to work their ways in, make it so that it's going to be a wonderful little elephant once we get them all done. And so as of this work, we've come right through, made it so it's going to be a little blessed artistic piece of work here, and done like that, I say. And then there's a place where we're going to go over to the other side here, kind of work our way along this little part of the other leg, on the other side and put the little thread through, make the looping needle go through, and see how this is going to come its own way. And finally, I say there's apparently a knot that's stopping up the thread here, so I'm going to make it a stop here just long enough to fix. And so, like you saw in the last video, this is something I'm starting to do to keep from making the video too long, kind of making cuts in between long enough to fix little things like that. So as you know, I've kind of got it through here, kind of make the knot so it has a beginning, goes the rest of the way along the leg to make it so we're going to and tie another knot around this loop here, because apparently the thread got hung up and created another loop. So just a little need to just kind of tie around that little knot, make it so the loop is going to come out a little better, and then kind of make it so we kind of got the little line right in. There's a little need just to cut that little strand off that was kind of hanging loose there for a while, so we got a little extra time and work into what we do. And I say we're coming this way, to make it so it's going to be a brighter, easier, better day to come to us all. And there's a little thing I need to stop long enough to fix. That was just one other place where the knot came a little undone from the needle, so kind of try to put the extra work down into the piece, make it so it's going to be a little brighter and easier to see for us all, and then kind of get that done in there, put the little loop through the thread, tie it up, and we got one more leg to come along up the side of, and put the little piece of thread in there to get it right in its good little place, to kind of show the little work we do in the lives of us all, and then make it so, well, finally I thought that was going to be a big knot that was going to have to cause me to start all over, but turned out not to be. Turned out to do just fine. So we got that little work done right along there, and apparently there's a place where we've got to tie a knot around another loop. So sometimes little knots get in the thread and cause it to get stopped up in the fabric and cause those little loops. So that's one thing we kind of got to get around now. And as for little ways, we're going to take it up, take it through, tie the needle through the knot, and see what we can see. Got another loop to tie another knot around, so got to take care of that. I tell you, this does get a little old and tiring after a while, but we kind of make our way through it. And so finally we get up to the point where we're going to go back up the leg here and just make one more little stop, one more little knot to tie. I had a few things to do there that would have taken quite a few minutes, so couldn't really waste much video time doing it. And last of all, but not least, will come down to say that there's just probably one little last thing we need to do. Put a little more stuffing in these little holes we've made in the side to kind of make it stand a little better. I sometimes can say that whenever I'm not doing it in front of a video, it kind of gets to the point where I can kind of be able to get it done without sewing it too close and without making it so small. But this time around, I mean, I'm doing it on video for the first time, so that's probably why I got it a little too small here. And we'll say that we need to stuff it a little bit more, come to this point, and say that I think might have gotten it too shallow there, but normally you would have to stuff it a little more if you wanted it to stand right. But it turns out I guess we probably did get enough the first time this time around. Maybe the fact that I stuffed it a little much that time might have been another one of those things where it might even have been just because I was doing it in front of a camera and needed to do it a little more right. So I say, just to go to this very last step, we're going to go down the very middle here and stitch along and kind of make it so we got the right stitch in the right place, and then get it along to where we're going to have it in the place where it's going to need to be, and then see how this is going to come the right way. Make it so we're going to see little elephants coming this way, and so it's just little work coming along, making its way. Oh, tell you what, oh, the work it shall take us to, and we finally get a little more stitching done through here, and finally we are going to be down to the last part in just a little bit, and then got one more side to go. Good thing I got this piece of thread long enough to do it all with. Probably gotta make a last little knot here before we take it much further, and then cut the little place right there. We're kind of taking it on to where we got another knot to make, and then get it in the place where it ought to go. We got one more little place to do, one more little place to take, and finally get a little more work done into this elephant, and we are almost done. We're almost done. It's just kind of to the point where we're getting a little bit more down the way, and then it's going to be one little good piece of work that finds its way safely directly to us, and then get a little work done, make it so it's going to shine, make it so it's going to look good, and then finally get the ways done where just a few more stitches to go, just a few more stitches to go, and finally we're back at the center again, and finally at a place where we can make our last knots and bring it to a final stop. There we go. Right in the work. Of course, I'd say the needle came off the thread again, but that won't matter this time because we're done. This is what it looks like when it's all finished. So I just want to say that I thank you all for watching this series. Always come back again and watch some more anytime. And thank you for being here, for being a follower, for being a fan or whatever. And always keep in touch. Goodbye.